You're here to learn how to store player data, or you're here to learn how to do it more efficiently. And I'm here to teach you both. So let's get right into it. So first off, you're gonna want to make some sort of script. I I already have a script here, but I'm gonna create a new one. I'm just gonna call it player data. And so first, you want to create some sort of stat, right? So um, if you've ever seen another one of these videos, they most of them at least they will use something called the data store service to store data. So if you already know about this, you can skip this part of the video. Okay, so this is a very simplified version of how you save the data, but basically it goes you get the service up here, and then you use that you get the service, get the data store, and then you get async or set async with it. I'm not gonna go very much in depth into that. You'd have to watch another person's video for it, but most people, or not, I wouldn't say most people, but most beginner level data stores, they uh they create something like this. So this would be how you would load data. And yes, this works, but look at how many times I had to type this thing over and over again. And also, the more times you use this get async function, the more times you use it, the higher chance you have to have it bug out because I'm not exactly sure why, but once you use this get or set async function too many times, it'll stop sending that message to the server, and you'll no longer be able to load players' data anymore. And also, this gets really redundant and boring. So I'm not gonna show you how on the this way of loading data. I'm just gonna say it is very uh, tedious to type out, and it gets really long really fast. Especially if you're making one of those games like button simulators where you have like 10, 20 different stats, and there's multiple players loading into the server. It could easily throw a bunch of errors. So since I already have it typed out here, I will just explain what I did here. So basically I have one data store, okay? In this data store, instead of something else, it uses a table. So one data store which uses a table. Now, if you don't know what tables are, um watch this part. If you do already know, then you can skip this part if you want. So basically, tables hold other values. So um and you create them with these curly bracket things. And so I could have like one, two, three, A, B, B, uh, and then maybe game dot workspace. Right? So they can hold pretty much anything, including other tables actually. So I could get one, and then I could get another table which contains one and two. And um, if I print, oh yeah, also how you get every single one of these holds a value. So the first item one holds the value one. I will call it, I'll make it A. So A has the index value one. It is the first item of the table. And this table has the index value two. It is the second item of the table. So if I say print tab, you use these square brackets to get the index. So like tab one would be A, and then tab two would just get this table. If I did that, it would print out a table, which is 1 and 2. Now, indexes do not have to be a number. Instead, you could do something like this. So here is the table I basically just did before. I'll make sure to put a comma. So this is the same table. This is basically telling it the first index is A, and the second index is 1, comma 2, which is, another table. Now, instead of using a number as your index, you can also use a string. Basically, a string is just like words, characters, all that. So let's say first equals a. No, let's call it something more vague. Cash equals 10. Right. So if I say print tab cash, make sure you put those these the quotation marks, because otherwise it will think you're trying to name a variable. So as you can see, it prints 10, right? So with that, you're able to create like some sort of a table of stats. So like cash equals 10, gems equals 0, rebirths equals 1 or something. Make sure to put commas in between these. But so hang on. Okay. So now if I say print tab gems, that's gonna print 0. And so with this, you can save this table into the data store. However, I'm pretty sure that you actually cannot save a table as this. Like, you cannot save a table using get and set async. So instead, you would turn this table into a string. Which, how you do that is this thing called JSON, right? So local HTTP equals game get service. So the HTTP service is just a service that the game offers you, and one of the things I use in it is JSON. Okay. Wait, I don't need to do local. So print h whatever you call this. So JSON, what it does is it turns a string. No, it turns a table into a string, or a string into a table. It has a specific like formatting that it uses. And so it allows you to store your stats into this data thing, right? So if I start it, you'll see that it prints out what this says. And also, it's no longer a table, it is a string. That's why I can actually see it without opening it up, in case you didn't see that earlier. And so yeah. Oh wait. So now I can explain this to you. Oh yes. Also stick around for this part if you have not learned about tables yet. So actually no, if you have not learned about for functions yet. So for basically for I comma v in, let me make a table. For iv in tab do. Okay, so what this is doing is it is iterating through the table. Iterating means that it goes through the table one by one. So I means index. That's what the full thing is. You don't have to call it I, you can call it anything you want. And then V stands for value. Remember, these are variables, so you can name them whatever you want. But index and then value. So if I print I comma v will print 1212. Wait, what? Hang on. Oh, okay. What you have to do here, I think you have to do something called I pairs. Actually, no, in pairs. What pairs does is it allows you to iterate through a table. I'm not exactly sure why they needed to do this. Or wait. Oh, I think that's why. I just didn't name put them correctly. Ooh. So now that should print 1212. Yeah. So basically, what it did just to A B to make it a little bit more clear. Um, okay. So what it's gonna print is it's gonna print 1. So index is A's index is 1, and then B's index is 2. So 1A, 2B, right? Okay. Now I will finally discuss how this works, assuming you haven't put it together yet already. Um, so in here, first I already have this table. It's called default data. It's nothing really special. I can add whatever stat I want, such as, let's say, gems. I really want gems. No. I'm gonna call it something really strange. Um, uh, test values. Okay, equals 0. So, okay, actually no, I'm gonna not have that yet. So whenever I load, I should probably delete this script, huh? So when I load, I made it so that it prints out whatever the player's stats are. So loaded correctly is true, and cash is 3, whatever that amount is. This is the default data. If they don't have anything saved, this is what it's gonna put as their data. And so this is how I did the thing. So basically, put in data. This gets the list, which the list. Hang on. The list is it should be it the data is the uh whatever it gets as a JSON string from loading it, and then it will put it into this put in data function. Um, so what's going on here is it's going through every single item in the list, and if that item in the list does not have anything, then okay. So this first part is just to check if there's any stat they don't have, because if I add something to default data and they don't already have it, it will never have it if they've played the game before. So um, this is just checking if any of the items in here are not in there. And if that is true, then it puts whatever item I put in here. So like example equals 0. So if I do not have an example stat, then it will just put it as 0. And then what happens here is it checks if the item is called loaded correctly, because that thing has to be a string. And then for the rest of them, it just checks if it is a number value. And so this just goes through all of the items in the list. I instead of using the instead of using the variable I just used ting, which is, you can call it anything you want. So this just automatically puts every single one of these items into a stat for the player. So when I press play and I look inside of my player, you can see that, wait a minute. Oh, okay, now it should work. Inside of my player, there's a cache value and a loaded correctly value, right? This is a string value and this is a number value. number values are better in my opinion than int values because integers cannot be decimals. So if you ever want to do that, um, and then for saving data, here is the it's kind of the same thing. Just checks all the children of the player. So like anything under this player, anything that opens up whenever I click on this player is its children. So backpack, starter gear, cache, load correctly, player GL, player GUI, player scripts, right? And it checks if that item has a property called value. These guys don't have a property called value, and so they don't get to be inside of this list. Um, it checks if they have a property called value, and if they do, it creates a table, and whatever if they have that property, it will put that number into the index in that table. So uh, this table basically imitates the default data in the indexes, and then whatever the like loaded correctly, like for cache, um if they have like 100 cache, then it would put 100 in for the cache value in the table instead of 0. And then so once that's done, it will then use JSON encode. JSON encode turns it into a string, and JSON decode turns it into a table, turns a string into a table. JSON encode to turn it into a string and then save it with a key as a player ID. The key is like what you use to get the value, and then whatever is saved is the input, I guess. Right? Hang on. Yeah. Oh wait, no. Um. Okay, this is remove async. This is what I use for resetting data. It's not relevant. Set async is what this is. EEE is basically the JSON decoded version of that lit table I talked to you about earlier, and then it just sets the async, and you still do need the p call here, just in case it has some sort of error. But besides that, this is probably the most efficient loading system I've ever seen, and you can you can get like you can get hundreds of values, thousands, maybe thousands of values if you shorten them, but hundreds, or you can get more values than you would probably ever need, more stats than you would probably ever need for a player. I will show you an example, and that is in my anti-matter dimensions game, which is over here. So I have quite a few values, and I'm gonna show you real quick. When I press play, inside of the player, inside of your player, I actually had to create a folder. These are all the values. Look at how many there are, and each of these has a very long string. So, but it still doesn't take. Oh, yeah, that's how long the JSON decode thing is, and yet it takes not that long to load. I mean, maybe half a second. So yeah, this is pretty efficient, and it's way less buggy than the other way to save data. So well, if you like this video, uh, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. I've heard that it makes other people, it makes my videos show up for other people on their algorithms. So that would be greatly appreciated. And besides that, have a good day. And that's all. Bye.